Well, that's because it's not a smartphone. Okay, hey, isn't that great? It's 7 o'clock. Welcome to all of you who have come to the Ironwood Chamber of Commerce City Commission Forum. Each of you hopefully has your little rules and regulations, guidelines, and question sheet. On the back there is a place for you to write a question, and please do that. And I will pick them up and hand them to our question assembler table, who will put them in order for me to give to the candidates. On the back also you'll see a listing of the candidates at the top, and hopefully those are the same names that I have up here on the signs. What we do to start is everyone gets 3 minutes to introduce themselves to the audience. And at the end of that time, we will start with our first question. Each person, when the question is read, each person gets to answer the question. That way, if there are differences or your particular slant or importance you regard the question, they come out that way. That's the nature of a forum. Everybody has their own views. So I will put my microphone down and we'll start out with David and go this way in order. Thank you very much for coming tonight, everyone.
Awesome, thank you very much. First, I'd just like to thank Michael Myers and the Chamber of Commerce, GCC, and all those who are in attendance tonight. My name is David Andreessen. I grew up in Ironwood. I attended Slate School Elementary, graduated from Luther L. Wright, continued on to GCC where I got my associate's degree in psychology. From there, I ventured off to the big city of Marquette, Michigan, getting my bachelor's degree in special education. I met my wife Kirsten there, and we ended up making our way to the Twin Cities, spending 4 years there where I was a special ed teacher and a high school soccer coach and cross-country coach. After spending 4 years there, we had our first child, Annika, and we decided that we wanted to move back to a place where I grew up, a smaller community, safer, and close to family. So we made that jump over back home in 2017, and from there I started working for Luther L. Wright as a special ed teacher. Kirsten stayed at home with Annika, and from there we decided to have another child, and Kirsten stayed home with the kids while I continued on working, getting my master's degree from Wayne State University and a specialist degree in school psychology, where now I am a school psychologist with Gogebic-Ontonagon Intermediate School District. As part of that team, I am on the school and improvement team, and also part of the strategic planning that involves the Gogebic and Ontonagon districts as we strive forward to make a better education experience for all of our students in the community. I also serve on the Ironwood Planning Commission and volunteer for youth soccer as well as cross-country skiing. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to hearing from everybody. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kim Corcoran. I was born and raised in Wakefield, Michigan, and then moved to Ironwood 31 years ago. I am married to my husband, Neil, and he and I have 2 yellow labs and enjoy pretty much everything outdoors, whether it's skiing, ATVing, golfing, and just kind of hanging out in the area. The outdoors is what I really, really like. My education started at Gogebic Community College. Took several courses here, then went on to Northland College in Ashland, where I received a bachelor's in biology and then a secondary education credential, and went on to St. Scholastica, where I earned my master's degree in education. And I have just recently retired from the Department of Corrections as a school principal. So the main part of my job in corrections is working with returning citizens, making sure that they have their GED, they earn a trade certificate, have workforce skills available to them that they can use for resources, and even try to get them into the college program. But right now, retirement has been great. It's been a great summer, so I've been enjoying more and more of the kayaking and hiking in the area. I am currently on the city commission. I've been on the commission for 12 years. I just really enjoy the learning process. I love the progress that we've made, and I'd love to continue on as commissioner. Some of the boards I've been on are the library board, the DIDA, Gogebic Iron County Wastewater, Economic Development, Park and Rec, and whenever possible, try to volunteer for things like the SISU, Festival Ironwood, and volunteer for cleanups or whatever I can. In a nutshell, I just kind of love the area and do what I can to be, engaged and supportive. Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Nancy Corpola, and I grew up here. I went to Newport School and 2 years of Luther L. Wright before we moved downstate. My dad was an iron ore miner, and when the mines closed in '66, that's when we moved. I graduated in high school from Walled Lake. I went to Michigan State for a year, got married, quit school for about 10 years, went back to school, and got my Bachelor of Fine Arts and a BA in History in Rhode Island. I was moving around with my now ex-husband, who was in the Navy. At that time, when I got my degree, I decided to join the Navy myself at age 33, so I did 14 years in the Navy. And then I did 16 years as a contractor, a defense contractor in Washington, D.C. And I retired from corporate America in 2012 and came back to Ironwood and have been living here since. Wanted to see what I could give back to our community, see where my strengths might fit in. So I've been on the Planning Commission, the Downtown Ironwood Development Authority, the Economic Development Commission, and I'm on the board of Downtown Art Place, and I'm president of the Range Arts Group. I totally love everything that we've been doing here with our city. Our strategic plan has been fantastic, and now it's going to be up for revision, and we've done quite a bit of that and made many, many accomplishments, and we're making many more. We're getting good business into the community. The people here are great. The outdoors, like Kim said, is just wonderful, and the air is fresh, and the people are nice. I so enjoy being back. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jim Mildred. I'm a longtime Ironwood person. My family, my wife, my children, my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents all had businesses in downtown Ironwood, been a part of downtown Ironwood all my life. I probably, every year I can remember being 5 or 6 years old and going to the theater by myself, or going to Albert's Clothing and Shoes and picking out a shirt and signing the book, and then my mom would go in and pay for that shirt whenever they got a paycheck. So I can remember when the new penny store was built, and they demolished the buildings on the corner, and now for so long Ironwood was stagnant. Things weren't happening, and now we have new stores, a whole new attitude, new people coming to our town, and what I love the most is that people are still friendly. They wave and say hi to you. So a little bit about my history. I was Ironwood High School grad, and then I was in the first class that came here and went to Gogebic Community College when this building was built. Before that, we were students. If you were at Gogebic, you would have been upstairs at the high school, and that's sort of interesting. So I love to see this college prosper. And as a matter of fact, I think everything I've done, it's just to help our area prosper. I coached Little League, I coached girls and boys basketball, I got involved in civic things with the Ironwood Kiwanis, and started off as the chair of the Norrie Park Committee, and I went from there to saying that our area needed more funds, so I developed and started the GERB bike rides, and then I thought that there were too many children in our community suffering, and they weren't receiving enough assets, they were called. You get 40 assets, and children weren't receiving enough, so I started Santa's headquarters, and that first day I was lucky enough to find 3 great women to help me, and that's been going strong for, I think, 14 years now, and help about 450 children a year. We go out and collect toys from the community, raise money. The whole effort costs about $25,000, and super proud of that. Super proud that we have people that bring things to Santa's headquarters, and they say, "Oh, I have to contribute because I was helped when I was a teenager." So that's well, my time is up. It's just getting started. Anyway, I've been an Ironwood City Commissioner these past years and enjoy it. Thank you.
How do I follow that? Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Rick Simo. I was born and raised here in town in Ironwood. I've lived here most of my life. I attended area schools and graduated from LL Wright. Attended GCC and the University of Michigan. I returned here a few years later after being lost in the wilderness of Chicago and have lived here ever since. My wife Kristen and I raised our son and daughter here, had a great life. I own a home here, worked at a couple of different jobs for a long time and have been retired for more than 10 years. I've been very active in our community and have a long history of volunteering. I'm on the board of directors of the Historic Ironwood Theater, and I am the president of the Friends of the Miners Memorial Heritage Park. I'm also the president of Sisu Ski Fest Board and have helped with Range Strikers Soccer, including David, one of our star upcoming kids. That was great fun. I love all that our area has to offer. I hunt, fish, cross-country ski. If there's something to do outside, I do it. Love being outdoors, and that's a big appeal for all of us. I think you've heard that. I'm open to new ideas and believe in supporting people who want to help improve our area. I have been on the City Commission for 12 years. We've accomplished a lot. I'd like to keep that progress going, and I hope I'm able to do so. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Dan Wood. I'm probably going to be I am the only one up here that's going to say I was not born in Ironwood, even though my last name is Wood, and I'm not related to James Wood, the founder of Ironwood, although I wish I could say that, and there's no doubt I would win. But anyhow, I was born in Dearborn, Michigan, but we've been up here about 12 years. And first came up here snowmobiling, hunting, fishing, just like everything else. Fell in love with the area. And my wife at that time worked for the city of Chicago, and then she ended up retiring to come up here. We ended up owning 2 businesses in Hurley, 2 taverns, and started to become immersed in the community. I'm a real people person. I really like people. So how we started to get involved with the community was just starting to talk to people, meet people. I was joined the Aurora Club in the beginning. In fact, I ended up on both of us ended up on the board of directors in the first year, which they said was rare for an outsider to get in there, but we were on there, and helped improve some of the things that happened there. We've been involved with a lot of community activities with people. I was in real estate at the age of 18. I had my real estate license. And Bob Olson, who was from Hurley and Ironwood, that used to run the radio station, I worked with him at Whipple Radio in Hancock while I was at Michigan Tech. And so I learned a lot about that. And I decided to run for office because I felt there was a need for different voices on the commission. Different people, especially newer people that have come in. As people move to the area, we want them to move, they're eventually going to want to sit at the table and contribute to the community through this way also. And I look at things a little different sometimes than others that have been here all their life. It would be like right now, if I took some of you to my living room, and you would say, "Now, why did he put that cabinet in that corner? It should be over there." But I would say, "You're wrong, don't mess with the way I put my cabinet." So sometimes when we come to our city, that's how we do things. We have a different perspective, and I want to bring a different perspective to the table, a different look, as somebody that was not born and raised here, but wants to, I don't want to say die here, that sounds horrible, but to finish out the rest of my life here, and that's why I want to serve on the commission.
Thank you, candidates. Now we're moving into the question from the audience time. And so I will read you the question, and then everybody gets a chance to respond to the question. You've got about 90 seconds or 100 seconds or so to say what you think or what your response might be. Our first question is, do you think our Main Street or downtown area is healthy and successful? If not, what would you do to help improve it? Do you think our Main Street downtown is healthy and successful? And if you don't believe that's the case, what do you think we should do to improve it? How would you approach that? And I think this time, since David started out, this time we'll start out with Kim and go around this way, and David can be at the end. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I do think our Main Street downtown is made a lot of progress. We've gotten through some impact grants, like you take a look at our downtown square, going out and finding money for that, and even designing something that will make an impact, making people come downtown was a very, very nice step. We also have placemaking strategies that we've done over the years. Even little things like you take a look at the flowers that are downtown, the banners that are downtown are amazing. And just the little things like that do make a difference and make it where people want to be. And I do see more and more of these small businesses coming in, where you can go in and get a great sandwich, a nice ice cream cone, you can listen to some music. You know, we've developed the art park, which has had events there, and even like the Depot Park, you know, that's been around, I think, since 2013. It's just bringing people downtown and making a difference. So I do believe it's come a long way. I think it's healthy, but you can also be better, because there are some buildings that do need some upgrades. I think in the hopper there are some grants coming up that can help with improving the facade or improving the structure of some of these buildings. So I think letting people know that there's money out there that can help improve businesses, and the more businesses we have, the different businesses that we have will bring more downtown. I know also one of our goals as the commission is we're looking at making the downtown entrance off of US 2 kind of more striking. So that is one thing that's in our hopper to improve the entrance. Thank you.
Everything she said. And it was just everything we've been working on, exactly that. We've certainly made progress. Our Main Street is looking very lovely. There are still some empty buildings. There are still some spaces that need improvement. So we need to work on those. But healthy and successful, healthy in the sense of businesses, yes. Healthy in the sense of physical health. I'd like to see us use less Roundup and more natural things and go that route if we can. So I'd like to push for that, but we'll see what happens there. And successful, I think our main block area with the crossroads is doing wonderfully, and now we need to expand that all the way to Hurley and all the way up to the churches. Thank you.
Yeah, I think our downtown has made great strides. 38 years of running the Gogebic County Transit. We started out 38 years ago with a thriving business community. We watched it go down, down, down. We watched where all of a sudden there weren't even people parking on the main street of Ironwood. No one was there. And a dozen years ago, we started to turn this around with infrastructure and events. And those events like Sisu and Gur bike rides, and brought people from, for example, Minocqua, who had never been to downtown Ironwood. And they said, oh my God, I love this town. And then when we brought people here, we got them into the Ironwood Theater with its newly renovated bathrooms and the DAP next door. And we got people into the Ironwood Memorial Building, and they said, I've never seen a beautiful civic center or a beautiful city hall like this. And I know part of my job as a city commissioner is to visit with the business people, and I've gone from business to business in this summer. I probably did it once a month, and I asked people, how was your business? And they went, oh my God, Jim, we went from taking in $150 on a Saturday morning and trying to pay the bills with that, just serving breakfast, to having people coming into our store one after another, lining up for ice cream cones, lining up for bakery, lining up for art, lining up, and then the happy people are. So great strides.
I don't think I have a whole lot new to add to all of that. I think downtown has made great strides. Very proud of what we've accomplished. We've created an environment where people want to be here. And that's the goal. That's called placemaking. And that's what the commission has been working on for the last 12 years. Make Ironwood a place that people want to be, and they do come here. And we're seeing that. We're seeing people open bakeries, coffee shops, sandwich shops. We already have existing businesses, antique shops. Downtown is, I would say thriving. I want to say it is thriving. Downtown is doing really well. Of course, it can become better, and I hope it will. I think if we keep on improving the overall climate not being the right word, welcoming of our community, we will continue to grow and thrive. Thank you.
Actually, the downtown is looking better and it continues to improve its stages. I'd like to see the entries to downtown a little more better off of US 2 and Silver Street to people to actually realize it's there. And of course, we do have to do improvements on US 2 also. We can't just do everything downtown and not take care of the neighborhoods or our highway. But one of the things lacking right now in downtown is housing. I would love to see housing downtown, such as apartments. I'm not talking about affordable housing. And I'm not talking about Airbnbs. I'm talking about workforce housing. Let's say a retiree wants to live in a simple apartment downtown. They can walk to all the stores. They can walk to European Treats. They can walk to get an ice cream. They can walk and get a bread. They can get a coffee. They can visit the little grocery store. Because when we have foot traffic, people living there, it's actually going to draw more people to live downtown and help our businesses. Our businesses will thrive if they can stay open past 5 o'clock. And people will live there. So that's where they're going to go get their loaf of bread or their treats or their coffee. So I really want to see some more housing down there, whether we talk to developers to build some apartments, or certainly can't do single-family homes in that area, but there's lots like the building that burned down 2 or 3 years ago. That would be a perfect place for a little 3-story apartment building or something. So we do need more housing because that will benefit our downtown. Many cities that downtown has thriving, it's because people are living there, and that it helps the businesses. So it's sort of, housing is important. I'd like to see that. And again, I want to stress not affordable housing and not Airbnbs, but actual apartments for seniors and regular people.
Thank you, candidates. One more? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
But that's okay. Go ahead.
Don't worry about it. I have everything that the men and women up here said. I would, emphatically agree with. The downtown is healthy. It's successful, and I can tell you why. Today I went down to the eatery for a lunch. Ordered it when I was at the Ironwood High School. Drove down. I couldn't find a parking spot. Place was packed. It's 11:30. So many vehicles down there. It's great to see. It's super exciting. But don't take it from me. My kiddos, when on Saturday mornings, my wife and I, we like to run, and so we have to take turns getting to run in the morning and someone having to run really early morning, like 4:30. So whoever gets the 7 a.m. run, it goes off, and the other one gets the kids. And it's fantastic because we go down to the Depot Park, we play a little bit, contrast opens. We go down, we get a muffin, we get some coffee, energy for the adults, sweets for the kids, everything's great. And from there we go over to the city park and we have some fun over there, running around on the bike paths, playing in the fountains in the summer, knowing that it's safe because public safety is right across the corner, right across the street there. And then after that, after playing around, we head to the bakery, get a snack, and then it's nap time for everybody. And it's fantastic. And so that just right there is everything that you can hope for in a small community. And it's just great. I'm looking really forward to being a part of pushing it forward and adding more great things down there.
The next question is one which I think applies to just about every commission or every town council all across the United States. And it's an interesting one. It's how do you personally plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in Ironwood? How do you plan to involve residents in the decision-making process in Ironwood? And now let's see if I can do this right. Nancy, you're the one to start, and I will make sure I get back around this time. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. When I first got here, one of the things that was in process was the finalization of the strategic plan. And one of the things that they've really accomplished there, which is absolutely superb. I've done strategic plans for the Navy and for when I was a contractor, but to have the actual community come in several times, not just once or not just a little survey, but several times to come in, have discussions, have work groups, have their input. And it's going to be time to do that again, and I think that gives them a good sense of how to participate. And then additionally, the whole idea, as Jim was saying, is you go out and you're talking to people, and you make yourself available to people, and hear what they have to say. If you're visiting and seeing how things are going, you're going to be able to incorporate their input at every level that you can. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with that. I think that being out in the public, being out downtown, going from store to store, asking people how this summer really went, hearing from the business people, and then in my 38 years in public transportation, so every year I personally know 4,000 or 5,000 people and help 4,000 or 5,000 people, and a lot of those people call me and they tell me what they think would be good for Ironwood, what they would like to see better for Ironwood. And then in our neighborhood, I personally live north of the highway here, and we've had some real tough cases where blight at a motel or blight along the highway with porta potties was piling up, or there were a couple houses that were, and the neighbors feel free to walk over and talk to me about that. And I've been a strong opponent of blight, and I want our town and our neighborhoods to continue to clean themselves up and be better. And just being in civic groups, civic organizations, and knowing what's important. And I think I know what's important to people. And even right now, I retired from public transportation, but I'm doing some Meal on Wheels delivery, and I'm bringing people to the hospitals. And I'm seeing a whole new side of things there that I've never seen. So thank you.
Well, we certainly do need the input of our residents to be successful. And the hearing process, as Nancy mentioned, during our strategic plan is one of the ways. We've had public hearings during our zoning ordinance revision that we're in the middle of. We encourage people to come to meetings. We'd like to hear what they have to say. We listen respectfully. We don't always answer them at the meeting, but believe me, we do listen and we do hear them. And getting around in the community, as others have mentioned, I take phone calls from residents. I always listen. I often go and meet with them. So this is part of what being a commissioner entails. And that's what I would continue to do.
Well, many times with many organizations, just like in church or something else, there's very few people doing the multitude of the tasks. And unfortunately, that's a fact of life everywhere. But in this community per se, I really want to see people get more involved, especially on this level of our city, in a political level. Because I've talked to people, and many people I've talked to, some of them said, Dan, why are you running radio ads for commissioner, spending money on signs? It's just the commissioners. It's the same people. It's going to keep getting elected. Nobody votes. I want people to vote. Even if you don't vote for me, I want people to be involved with our electoral process, because the issues we have as a city come right here, right on from the memorial building. And that's why I want people to be more involved. And hopefully, I can get more people involved, because I'm talking to people. Last night I had a couple of friends, and I won't mention their names, they thought, I started talking to a neighbor about politics and the election, and then they said, well, we don't have time to talk to Dan, he's too busy rambling on about city politics, and they walked away. But I want people to be involved. We need our youth involved. We were involved with Trump or Biden, whatever side you took. Everybody was they're still angry about it, as you know. You read Facebook, everybody still hates each other over it. Why can't we be involved with the city? I want people to be involved with the city. We should care who gets elected. We should be concerned about our future. And if we think someone has done a great job, then you gotta vote for that person. If you want some different voices, you gotta vote for that person. We need to be more involved with what happens. Because usually, people complain, but they don't vote. They ask questions, and you say, well, you should have voted. Well, I don't even pay attention. Well, you need to start paying attention. I want people to pay attention.
I think it's a very good question that small towns are going to struggle with, just, with the amount of population that we have. We have several people that want to get out there and do everything, and then we have others that don't have the time, maybe they're starting families. And so it's really about listening and making it accessible to everybody. And there's ways to do that. If COVID taught us anything, that we have this thing called the internet. And we can get out there and we can, broadcast meetings, which the Planning Commission is doing, and other people as well. I see there's a video right there, which is great. Reaching out to new people, inviting them to be a part of the community, listening to them. The listening sessions are a great idea. I know there's several community groups out there that are almost begging to be part of the city and trying to make some good positive movements going forward. And so it's just taking a step back, willing to listen to everybody. And not everyone's going to agree on one thing, but I think that we can all agree that we want to push Ironwood in a positive direction for everybody.
How to get people more involved. I really liked Nancy's example when we did the master plan and the strategic plan to have the workshops and get people engaged. And it was almost like a game where we had teams and like, how are we going to do this and how are we going to plan that? But the question was, for me, I read personally, what can I do? I like the idea of coffee with a commissioner, maybe once a month. I'm retired now, so I have time. But we can go to different restaurants or different places and have coffee and invite people to say, what do you got going on? Or invite them to say, well, our topic today is water, or our topic today is blight, or whatever the topic may be. But just invite people to come and sit in a casual conversation, casual place, without any pressure or any stress. I believe too, personally, it's a matter of getting out there and just talking to people, whether you go to different events or talk to people when you meet them in the streets. And I like explaining things, because sometimes you'll hear things like, why are you spending money on plants and banners when our roads are horrible? Well, when you explain to somebody that the plants and banners, they come from a certain grant and that's the only thing that you can spend it on, and you can't spend it on the roads, like, oh yeah, I get it. So they get to understand and they get to hear what you're doing and hear how you're involved. And I guess one other thing is just to invite people to come to the meetings. Like we had mentioned with Zoom, more and more people can come to a meeting. You can be engaged and maybe get our topics out there ahead of time, or invite people to take a look at them so they can be more engaged. But just getting people to come, because at the meetings you do have the opportunity to voice your opinion either on the agenda or things that are not on the agenda. And often we get ideas from people coming in and doing as such.
Our third question is kind of a wish question, but with recovery dollars and things that will be coming to the city, it is probably a wise question to consider. If you, meaning the city, received $1 million grant to use for the city in any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why? If the city received $1 million grant to use for the city in any way you wanted, that's the personal angle, in any way you wanted, what would you do with it and why? And Jim starts.
Yes, thank you. So I've thought about that because there is some money coming to the city and to the townships and the counties, and what would be one of the best ways to spend that money. And I think for Ironwood especially, we have a limited number of people that work for us. The employees, you know, we pay a livable wage and you give the benefits that you give nowadays. So we're sort of capped on how many employees we can have. And what I think is that money should be spent to upgrade all of our equipment. Now, I've been in Ashland bringing people to the hospital, and the city workers come there and they drive lawnmowers that are zero-turn lawnmowers that are like, they have 10 by 10 foot cutting blades. And they come into a park, like those parks along the lake, and in an hour they can cut 20 acres of land. So I think we need bigger and better lawnmowers. I think we need bigger and better snow equipment. And I think, and then upgrading technology. As we upgrade our technology, as we upgrade the tools that we need to do a better job, we can get more done. And then it will keep our parks looking nicer, our downtown looking nicer, our highway looking nicer.
$1 million, he says. How about 5 million? Some really big number. $1 million, we have so many needs that, and we've been working really hard. We've been doing a really good job of addressing our basic needs. Our infrastructure, our roads, sewer and water, our water treatment plant. We have so many needs that we've been addressing, but the work continues. $1 million doesn't really go very far today. I would love for us to be able to give our residents a little break on the water bill. I don't know how we could do that, but it's just a fact, a reality that it just takes that much money to run our water system. We have a physically huge city, 20,000 people, and we lived here at one time. The city's no smaller, the same amount of pipes, but a lot less people paying for them. So I personally would see us putting the money into infrastructure, probably water, possibly sewer. Not glamorous, but it's what we need.
Well, first of all, sometimes when grants are given, they're specifically designated to a certain thing. If it was just $1 million, just $1 million. But if we were given that, first of all, we gotta have a public hearing. We wanna hear input from the public, the voters, what they would like to see. Now, of course, some of those ideas may not be feasible, but you still have to open it up to let people say what they feel. One of the things we need, first of all, is a community center. We need something even for the seniors, instead of going to Bessemer. We need something here in our community for those people, like coffee with the commissioner. What a great time to at a community center, and something to do right here locally. But there's many ideas for that, but again, it's very important to get the public input, and there could be infrastructure that needs to be replaced and different things upgraded, but there's also some other projects that it could be used for. So it's definitely public input, but one of the things I think is missing here is a community center. So, and there's other things missing, of course, but that is, public input is very important. I want to hear from the people. I don't want it to be like, the commissioners have decided to give this $1 million and build a statue outside. Well, no, we want to at least say that after talking with the people, we've decided, because we're supposed to vote on things that represent the people. I mean, there's probably issues that I don't agree with, but if enough of the majority of the city tells me that that's what they want, I'm going to vote for it, whether I like it or not, because that's what the people want.
$1 million sounds like a lot in my pocket, but as the city goes, as many of the members up here have mentioned, I think that would be a drop in the bucket. One that we would be happy to accept, but it would be difficult to determine what it is that we're going to do with that $1 million. Infrastructure would be a go-to, but since we're dreaming, I think I would like to look towards using it to visualize and realize our future goals, perhaps more towards a broadband infrastructure that would support online jobs, allow the flexibility of people who may want to play in our area to actually live and play in our area. We have several that have moved from areas from outside of the Gateway County who are moving here to play because we have we have adventures abound, and so providing them a space to have access to high-speed internet, internet cafes where they can walk around our community and be out there would only build on that visualization and helping us realize our future.
I like your idea. I agree with Rick. 1 million is nice, but 10 million is better. I would say that my plan would be we have an aging water treatment plant, and I think that's a big thing to take care of. And basically, my reasoning behind that is just the voice of the people a few years ago when we had our magnesium concerns. It's like, we have to get it fixed. It's old, it's aging, and $1 million would help, but $10 million would absolutely help a lot more. And it's important. I guess it shows that we're progressive and proactive, which could in turn draw more people or more businesses. So if we're investing in the water in our city, it shows that we're ready for more improvement, more people, more industry, and it's just better health. It's kind of like the right thing to do. You know, investing in our infrastructure is investing in our future. Thank you.
Again, yes to all the above. Certainly $1 million would be helpful, but 10 million would be better. I'd like to see us create a municipal fund that the money could sit in there and be used for loans or grants from the percentage earned from that core money. That's one possibility of keeping it going rather than just spending it all outright. But definitely infrastructure, and I had on my list tech and broadband. We need to get into the 21st century and need to make that happen, and I think we can. We've got good core broadband going through the city. Now we just have to hook everybody up to it and perhaps offer, one of the things we're talking about in our planning commission, et cetera, is free broadband in the city for different kiosks or whatever way we need to do it. We are in fact getting people who are working remote. We have Expensify, and they are doing wonderfully with 250 some people the last I heard, and those people work remote, and it's a company here. I think we need to do more of that. And I just know of someone who is finishing her degree, and she just got hired out in California, and she's working remote from here and living here. And I love it. So we need to do more of that.
A topic shift. This questioner asks, we are aware that marijuana is legal and here to stay. Is there any way to require the growers to take steps to reduce the odor? We are aware that marijuana is legal and here to stay. Is there any way to require the growers to take steps to reduce the odor? So let's see, so that would take two. Rick.
That would be me. This is probably one of the more difficult things that has come down the road with the current marijuana laws that we have in the state of Michigan. And a lot of the problems come from grow houses that purport to be run by caregivers who are growing marijuana for individuals, patients. And it's really hard for the city to regulate that. In fact, there's very little that we can actually do. The one thing that we can do and that we're trying to do is have citizens let us know there's a problem. We have a procedure, we have a process. If citizens let us know that there's an odor issue, we can go in and we can deal with it. So we are already doing that. The legal marijuana will be a whole different creature. We have direct ability to supervise and control anything that goes on there, and we should have a lot more success in dealing with the odors with this particular scenario. And my own personal hope is that as the legal growers move in, the mom and pop shops will start to disappear. I equate it to prohibition, where everybody was making booze and it was kind of the family biz. And now, years later, with alcohol being legal, there's almost no such thing. So hopefully marijuana will follow the same track.
Well, certainly that is an issue, and marijuana, of course, as the question is here to stay, it's legalized. However, the smell is not great. It'd be like living next to a slaughterhouse, like in Chicago. Imagine living next to the stockyards. But we do have to do something, especially within our neighborhoods, because some of the smell is permeating. There has to be some filter. There has to be some kind of policing or some way of to make sure that the smell doesn't, because it brings down property values sometimes. It actually hurts things. Downtown, these new dispensaries, all that's going to be regulated. The city's going to have more of a control on that, but we still can't allow the smell to be, there's got to be filters. There are filters. I know people personally that grow, you would not know they grow because of their filters. And I know a couple people that grow, and you could tell as soon as you pull in their driveway that something's going on there. So yes, we need to not ignore the problem, because there's been too many people complaining, and it's not that people are against marijuana, they don't want to smell it. So the city, we have to come up with some ways to figure out the smell and try to find out what's going on and filter people. It just can't be unregulated.
I completely understand those who are maybe living near or have to walk by these establishments that smell of marijuana. It's not pleasant, and I hear what they are saying. But as Rick and had mentioned about the medical versus recreation, there's two different areas here that we need to separate. And the medical marijuana came first, and there are people that can do that at home, and it's not regulated the same way that the recreation marijuana that the city commission approved will be. And so I think it's important that we acknowledge that and don't confuse the two together, because I do think there are opportunities for our city when it comes to recreational marijuana. However, that being said, the medical marijuana and the smells does need to be addressed. I know it's not as easy as telling the police to go in there, because there are laws not allowing them to go in at sometimes. And so it's just really getting down to discussing with the medical marijuana growers, and maybe providing some support with smell filters, and just trying to do best for one another as we go forward, because this is going to be an issue that's not going to be figured out right away. So.
I think Rick did a nice job covering this topic. I know as we're getting the new businesses that come in under the marijuana grow plans, that we do regulate and kind of observe their site plans, and that's one step. We do have an ordinance in place, and I guess it's something that we could probably enforce more, or inform the public on. If you smell things, here's how you contact our staff, here's the steps, here's what's going to happen. Maybe another step that we could take is work with the growers themselves and just try to meet with them and address some of the concerns that we hear from our citizens and the public, and help them be better neighbors, help them step up and control odors that they're coming across. And maybe eventually with the businesses here, I think it'll be a while before we have any substantial funding, but right now I think we're set to collect maybe $100,000 from the sites that we have in our area, and maybe we could use that to increase our public safety and have them kind of have a force or a person who would regularly monitor or check the progress and kind of check in on these businesses. So, thank you.
I agree very much with Kim and Rick. I've been part of the marijuana planning for the businesses that are coming in. The regulations are such in each and every contract that they will have maximum filters for smell, noise, whatever. So those will be taken care of, as Rick was indicating. I also believe that they will go by the wayside, the medical ones will go by the wayside, because the cost factor would indicate that it wouldn't be easy for them to maintain that kind of business. So the ones with odor issues perhaps would see a better place than being in Ironwood to do it. I love the idea that Kim was saying on having some meetings, having them be better neighbors, trying to work with them to develop a way to actually address it. That would be wonderful. So it's certainly an avenue to explore. Thank you.
Yes, it's been covered very well. The city can control licensed adult recreational stores. Thank goodness for that. And I don't know the difference between, I don't know how many grow houses there are in Ironwood. I know that some places you walk in, it smells terribly, and other places it doesn't, and I don't know how you identify exactly which house these smells are coming from, and then I don't know legally how you stop it. But I do love the idea of asking people to be good neighbors in this small community and working together. So thank you.
The next question is a real estate question. Regarding the tight real estate market and lack of affordable housing, is it possible for the city to incentivize developers to build multi-use or affordable housing while also pursuing some high-end possible developments within the city? Regarding the tight real estate market and the lack of affordable housing, is it possible for the city to incentivize developers to build multi-use affordable housing while also at the same time pursuing some higher-end development projects? And I think it's Mr. Wood.
Yes, that's actually a good question, and I would love to see new construction in Ironwood, new homes being built, new apartment buildings, as I talked earlier about downtown housing. And I don't want to just say affordable housing, because that sometimes will bring the jobs that are paying lower wages. We need what we call workforce housing. So somebody that moves from here to take a job, they can, it's more of in the middle class range, the middle range. Those type of housing is attractive to people to have. And so we do need some new, like the Norrie School property, that would be beautiful to have a couple houses built there. There's several spots where in the city that houses could be in, because it seems like a house gets torn down and the property owner next door takes over the lot and they just got a bigger yard. Nothing wrong with that, but it would be nice to see the city somehow involved with some housing. Now, when we talk about affordable housing, I've always thought for years up here that something like Habitat for Humanity would really go over well here for some of these families, where they help build a home, build equity, and they end up making payments and so on, if everybody's familiar with that. But absolutely, we need new construction, because that breathes life into the community, that brings new blood into the community. And so many of our vacant lots, we lose our tax dollars. I mean, everything just goes. We lose students in school, our school loses money, we lose property taxes when we don't build. We build new homes, people will come. Believe it or not, somebody may say they're not gonna come to Ironwood. Oh yes, they will. I went to the coffee shop, they paid $3.45 for a coffee downtown. Somebody said years ago, nobody will buy that much in Ironwood for a coffee. Well, I did, and so does a lot of other people. So yes, we build new houses, new apartments, people will come. And again, let's not just say affordable housing. Let's talk about workforce housing, and like even our retirees, they want to retire and move into more of an efficient home, but live up here in the beautiful North Woods. But they don't want the ramifications of a real big house with all the work and so on. But anyway, yes, absolutely. I would love to see new construction. I would be very supportive of it, work with developers and try to lure developers, because I guarantee you, if we get some builders just to build a house, it's going to be sold. Look how things are selling now. And we're losing our housing through other ways, so we do need more housing, yes.
That's a great question, and I think it's something that certainly should be looked into. You know, as we're looking forward, we have maybe three types of people in Ironwood. We've got those that were born and raised, the transplants, you know, that have moved here, and then the boomerangs that, you know, grew up here, they went off, and then they came back. And we have several of those on this panel right now, so it's super great. And those people are looking for different things. And the people that were born and raised here are looking for jobs, safety, affordability, and being close to family and friends. And those transplants, they're wanting the adventure, that social connection, walkability. And then the boomerangs, myself included, we want it all. All right, we want both. We want affordability, we want family, friends, and then we want the social connection and adventures. And so certainly if Field of Dreams reference, if you build it, they will come, I believe that to be true. If we can get some sort of development for younger families, for senior citizens that are going to keep us close together and increase our community, I'm all for that. I think it would have to be a creative way, but something that I would look forward to prioritizing as we move forward.
Well, I know we had a study not too long ago, kind of like the first land study, and one of the things they did mention is the housing shortage in our area. And I don't know what the answer to this question is. I mean, what kind of incentives could the city offer? Do they offer tax breaks, or do they donate property to developers? Maybe something like that, and maybe it's not fair to current property owners. I don't know what the answer to this is, but maybe even just creating awareness to grants or TIFs or brownfield opportunities. Maybe having workshops and promoting development in our area. Maybe going to different areas and just promoting Ironwood in general might draw contractors and developers in our area, just promoting our Northwoods and what we have and the potential to have, I don't know, growth. I know a while back, before I was on the commission, they did have like the Hovey project, and I think they were offering tax incentives or tax breaks for them, and it didn't come to fruition. I don't know all the details. So this would be a tough one, but it is in a market that I think we really need to develop. Thank you.
In several of the groups that I'm in, we have had preliminary discussions and have developed preliminary planning on just this exact topic, to include all phases of housing, affordable housing, mid-grade, even a boutique hotel, maybe even apartment buildings, multiple family dwellings by the highway, maybe some single ones too, depending. So we've had discussions up one side and down the other of how to go after that. There are a few requirements that need to happen first. We need to go after a tax incentive base. One of the things we're looking at is once we meet the parameters of what the developers say they want to do, once we have those, then we can really go after the developers and start offering those kinds of incentives. So yes, very, very much needed, and certainly something that we can do and is in our planning to do that in the not too distant future.
Well, I'd look at this and I'd say, you know, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, we had hundreds of homes for sale. No one was buying them, and we didn't have, we had homes on every street that for sale, for sale. Now I know 4 or 5 people, they sold their homes for double what they were asking a couple of years ago. So it's such a success to be able to have your home values go up in the town you live in, where you're paying taxes on this home every year, and all of a sudden that home is really worth something, and then people take pride in their home. They make their lawns look better. It's just so exciting. And then going around town, I've seen a half a dozen young guys in their 30s or 40s, or a couple ladies in their 30s and 40s, and they're going to town on their homes, and they're remodeling them from top to bottom. So we have these historic old homes that were built in the 20s and 30s, and they're looking beautiful again. So I would celebrate that. And then I think I would start working with Michigan Works, because one of the things that's really troubling here is that we don't have enough glass installers, glazers, electricians, plumbers, and we have jobs where these jobs are paying $25, $30 an hour, and we need those experts in our town so we can continue to live here and count on them to either remodel a home or fix a home for us. So thank you.
Yes, as Jim said, what a strange development in the city of Ironwood where housing is at a shortage. Almost unimaginable for most of my adult life here. And what a great thing. And we do need to address this. It is one of our city commission goals. I do believe we're going to be doing an assessment of our housing. I know of at least one developer, and maybe I'm sure there are more, who are looking to build different kinds of developments in Ironwood. The Air Street corridor across from the Miners Park is a highly popular choice. And I agree that the city needs to do whatever we can to foster this development. We absolutely need new housing, we need better housing, and we need to keep on getting rid of the blighted housing that we already have.
Now I've already forgot. Are we back? We're back to David. We're okay. Back to number 1 over there. The letter A. All right. This is a water question, and certainly that has been a long topic of Ironwood. The question reads: is something being done to address Ironwood's high manganese and possible lead contamination in the water? This was touched on kind of briefly a little bit earlier, but remembering what I read in the paper, I do think there is something afoot and to deal with this, and that will come to the commission. So I think this is a good question for each of you to weigh in on it. Thank you.
That's an excellent question. One especially fitting for our sitting commissioners at this point. At this point, I know that the water has been discussed a lot in the past couple years, and I think something that we can all agree on is that we would like clean water for all of our citizens, our babies and our elderly, and everyone in between. I think it's important that a city looks to building their infrastructure to make sure that there is clean water. I know there are things being done within that I've seen in the paper, and pipes being completed, new water treatments being settled, and lots of money getting put towards it, which I think is fantastic. Part of being a city commissioner is being able to discuss things that maybe you don't know all the information on, and really diving into it and reading up on it. And that's something that through my course of education, my master's thesis, that I love to look through data, and I would be happy to look at that and have more input at a later time.
Well, if I had $1 million, or $10 million, we are in the process of addressing our water treatment plant. We are in the kind of engineering phase. We've seen site plans, so there's a site plan out there. We've got the funding kind of in the hopper between grants, city funds, and working a way to work with our citizens. I know nobody wants to hear it, but probably an increase in our bills that go out each month. But we are addressing it. It was the voice of a people a couple years ago, and we're addressing it, so it's on the future. Thank you.
Well, as Kim indicated, yes, it is in the pipeline to be addressed. Certainly we need to go there and make that happen. I just wanted to emphasize, though, that the water and the treatment plan, the pipes, the sewage, everything has been an issue since I lived here in the 50s and 60s. So this is not something that is brought about by really current people. I mean, it's been there and been kicked down the road a long, long time. And we need to address it. We need to bite the bullet and do it. We're going to be doing that. And that's just gotta be how it's gotta be. Thank you.
Yeah, the presentations have been made at the city commission by Coleman Engineering, and they're a subcontractor on this. And we've looked over the design of the new building, so we are going to have a new water treatment plant. We are going to have a water filtration tanks. We are going to eliminate manganese in the water. So I'm really proud of the way everyone pulled together and had this happen. And it is pretty much a done deal. The funding has been pretty much approved, so I think it's all there. And thank God for that. Really excited about it.
Yes, as Jim said, the funding is there. A lot of props to our city staff for securing way beyond the amount of money we thought we would get in grants. Grants don't normally exist for this kind of project, but we were able to get, I don't know the exact numbers, a couple of $1 million in grants, and maybe a couple of million in really low interest loans. And so we're gonna have to bite the bullet. The plant is gonna cost just under $10 million. Construction is gonna start this coming year, and the plant will happen. And we will have clean water, and hopefully this kind of nightmare of water flushing will become just a fond memory.
Obviously, the water has been an issue for years. The water bills are still high, the sewage bills are still high. Somebody this week showed me their high water bill. And I hope the water filtration plant is the answer, but I don't want it to be another burden on the taxpayer. It's gonna cost us more for cleaner water. If we receive grants for this, then that shouldn't cost the taxpayer or the resident more on their water bill. And that's one of the things I'll try to be watching for, to make sure that it doesn't cost us more taxes, because we just don't need more high rates on things. And our water deposit is still very high. It's too much for somebody wanting to rent in the city. It's a very big burden. There's still many issues with the water, and I hope this water filtration plant will solve it. But we've had these issues before, but it needs to be closely monitored. Again, at what cost? That's the key. We have to keep our costs down, because our water bills are one of the highest in the state as it is.
A return to the real estate question, although with a little bit different take on it. What can the city do about all the homes being bought up by people and turned into Airbnbs, which in turn is causing a shortage of homes for long-term rentals or for purchases as home buyers? What can the city do about all the homes being bought up by people as Airbnbs, which are causing a shortage of homes for long-term rental usage or also home buyers here? And I've forgotten who starts next. Kim, thank you.
What can the city do? I don't know that you can control who buys, but I think what you can do is something that we need to look at, is maybe if people are gonna do Airbnbs, the verbos, is make sure that we try to implement some sort of fees. If you're gonna be using a home for this kind of business, incorporate fees for these folks, and maybe incorporate some sort of regulations on how things are run, or what type of clientele may be allowed. Like I said, you're not gonna wanna have something downtown and have snowmobiles running downtown or on the highway or things like that. So I think just basic fees and basic regulations for what we could do for that. Thank you.
I totally agree with Kim. Basic regulations are going to be what we're going to have to do. If it gets to be such an issue that we're in dire straits because of that happening, then yeah, we just can't afford to, both for safety and for financial reasons, that happening on a continuing basis.
So I would think about this, and I would say that there are negatives and there are huge positives. And, you know, for years and years, people have owned ski houses in this town. And one of the things wrong with the ski house was that it was mainly just used in the winter, and then the grass was left uncut and it wasn't used that much in the summer. But every rental house that I know in Ironwood has been remodeled and is used year-round now. People want to come here to ride the trails, people want to come here to ski, people want to come here to walk to our downtown, to go to the theater. And these homes that are being used in this fashion are way nicer than the ski houses of the 60s and 70s. And then from an economic development standpoint, I can tell you for a fact that when we just had the Bluffs and Bridges, or we have the Sisu, I know personally 7 or 8 families from Madison that come here and rent. I know people come here from all over southern Wisconsin, and they shop and they recreate and they go to our restaurants. So yes, we are losing some residential homes, but we're gaining hundreds of people with income that are spending money here. So you have to look at both sides of this, and I want to take care of both sides in a calm fashion and really think about it from both sides. Thank you.
Yeah, I just started hearing about this, I don't know if it's exactly a problem, but this issue, a little bit lately I've been hearing, oh, more and more people, houses are being bought up to be Airbnbs. And I think good old capitalism will sort this out for us a little bit. If there's a need for Airbnbs, they will thrive. As Jim said, they'll bring people to the area to stay. If we need more housing, capitalism should help us get them built. And the city will work with developers. And if we have to have some regulations regulating Airbnbs, we can look at that. But we have a lot to learn about this before we would know any possible solution or whether it's even really a problem. Thank you.
I'll try to say what I have to say quickly in 90 seconds, because this issue has popped up to me several times. A realtor told me the other day, do you know why Hurley doesn't have a lot of Airbnbs, or hardly at all? I said, no. Well, because you have to go through the council to get that. There has to be a variance. Ironwood is like the Wild West. Buy a house, rent it out. And I looked into that. So if you own a home in Ironwood, you could rent it to me for $500 a month, or you could rent it to Mr. Meyer for $800 a weekend, which is great. As we talked about capitalism, the entrepreneurial spirit, that's fine. But however, this Airbnbs, it's not like the old bed and breakfast fashion where you go and grandma makes us breakfast or whatever. You actually do it online. They pay a sales tax to the state of Michigan, 6%, not the owners. I'm against more taxes for the property owner, because you should be able to do what you want with your house. But the sales tax goes to the state, 6%. 2 places in Michigan, Genesee County and Kent County, charge a 5% sales tax on top of that, sort of like a pillow tax. Ironwood could do the same thing, and it does not affect the property owner, it affects the tourist that's coming in from out of town. They'll pay that, and that'll go into the coffers of the city, because we have to somehow regulate this, because our hotels are paying pillow tax. Every motel in Ironwood is paying a tax for every room that's rented tonight, but a room at an Airbnb is technically not paying that type of tax. So yes, and we are losing our homes. We have a housing shortage because people are buying them to turn them into B&Bs. Some families, we're losing actually school kids, because when they're evicted from their house for their long-term rentals, that's why we need more housing also. The housing it's going to bite us if it's not already starting to bite us. It's an issue that we all, the commission has to look at over the next couple of years. It's very important, and the Airbnbs is taking over. When we hear of new housing, if it's Airbnbs, it's tourism. Yes, tourists do spend money. Every time any of us vacation, we spend more than we should. But that doesn't help us long-term with the residents. If our residents can't actually live here year-round and send their kids to school, or live here and shop in our stores and grocery stores year-round, not just on the weekend, that doesn't help us as much. We can't base our total future on tourism. And when we put all our apples in one basket with this Airbnb, that's what we're doing.
It's a great question, and full disclosure, myself and my sister got together and bought a house across the street from my house and down the street from hers. Our neighbor lived there. We used to throw the baseball with him. He's a great man. And the house was sitting there for about 2 years. Nobody looking at it, garage falling down, broken steps coming down, and we decided that we would purchase it with the plan of making it an Airbnb, something fun. So we were those 30-year-olds going at it, fixing it up, putting in the sweat equity, getting a little bit of help from family members, and had a fun time renting it out to people who wanted to come here and play in the winter and the summer, and it was fantastic. It got to be a little bit more difficult with young children, and we ended up selling the house to a couple and their little girl that moved here from Duluth and are now working in the Ironwood area schools. And so there is definitely a possibility for people to come here, get a taste of what Ironwood is like, get a feel for what it's like to live in our neighborhoods, and then grow attached and perhaps want to move here. And I like the innovative ideas that I'm hearing about possibly putting the burden of maybe some tax for the city on the people that are coming here. But I would like to prioritize, organize maybe, and look at what that would be like for the city and also the current Airbnb holders as we move forward.
We have 2 more questions, and then you can give your final summation to, I've almost said the jury, final summation to our guests who are here this evening. The next question deals with the issue of blight, junk in yards, dead cars in yards, eyesore homes and properties. What can be done? Is funding available to help low-income households that own such properties? And I think you're next.
Yeah, I am. I do not know of any incentives right now to help the low-income people who own those. It would be one of my recommendations on the Habitat for Humanity type of thing in terms of helping people correct them so they can sell them or live in them, whatever the case may be, because we do have an older crowd that is deteriorating with their maintenance for their houses. For the blight itself, yes, there is funding available, but the funding available, we try to divvy it up to the best that we know in terms of trying to get the worst cases taken care of. And so each year we have a hit list, and our incumbents can address this more, but we do address certain properties throughout the year, as many as we can under that budget. So we're budgeted for X, we'll see what it takes to do it, and then we address those. Not enough, not fast enough, so we need to get better at that.
Quickly, I would just say that when you live in a neighborhood, if you have a blighted house, it's even worse if you have a drug house, people moving in and out with people coming there selling drugs. Both of those things can ruin a neighborhood, and I would do everything I can to put a stop to both of those situations. Thank you.
Blight is something that we've been wrestling with for my entire 12 years on the commission. We've made a lot of progress, maybe not fast enough for many people, but funding is always limited. We were successful in getting some really nice grants several years ago, but a lot of that funding has dried up. The Community Development Department is always on the lookout for grants, whether it's home improvement grants, facade grants, blight remediation grants. We're always looking. We have a great department, we have great people working at the city, and we will continue to do everything we can to address this blight. the kind of blight that, of junk in people's yards is something that I feel personal accountability comes into play, and people have to be held accountable for junk in their yards. And we need to keep on working on that, making people clean it up. Whenever one of these comes to us, we do whatever we can to get it taken care of. And we're going to continue. Blight has been our number 1 or 2 or 3 goal every single year, and I'm sure it will continue to be.
Community action does help some folks that have some needs in their houses, but they actually select certain areas each year. Yes, that is true. There are people that are homeowners, maybe they're widows, maybe they're older senior citizens on a small pension or disability that can't afford to do a lot of repair or work to their house. So it would be wise to seek grants, perhaps have some kind of a fund for the city that we can have to help some of these folks out. Because some people can't even afford to pay a blight ticket, much less to paint their house. And also to work more with churches and better community organizations. One thing I've noticed here is there seems to be a people here and people down here, but there's not like they're together. It's like, we need to have people more together and unify, and we need to have the housing situation of the blight. And we can't just let blight go on and on and on. I mean, the situation, Monday night, there was one of our motels on US 2. Well, it's been a blight for a long time, not just a week from now, not a month ago. This has been going on for months, and it shouldn't have waited until just the week before the election to suddenly appear and have to be dealt with. We need to be more on top of blight, and we need to be more on top of these things. And that's especially when people first see Ironwood. When you're first going through US 2, what do you see? Either way, those are the issues. And when you're going downtown. Now, tourists, just like any of us, when I was in Duluth the first 9 years ago, I made a wrong turn and I ended up in, I guess, the hillside neighborhood. And I told my wife, I said, well, this looks sort of like a bad neighborhood, because I seen a boarded up building and stuff. And some of these folks, when they come in Ironwood, they may see some of these older homes. And of course, in the UP, there is a lot of older homes like that. And it's just how it is no matter where you go. But blight is important. We need to be more on top of it, because it takes down, you have a beautiful house and you have a bad house. But again, the question, yes, we need to come up with some things to help these homeowners to improve their houses. Because again, not everybody, some of these folks are living on a small pension or disability. It's not like they're just, and of course if they're landlords and they're letting it go to seed, that's another story too.
I agree with what a lot of us are saying up here. As we visualize what we want to see in our community, we certainly don't visualize houses with trash and cars and trailers left out. But I do believe that we should visualize and work to realize a community that helps one another. And as many of us had said up here, there are circumstances unknown to any of us about some of the situations that are going on, and that we should look to partner with community organizations across Ironwood and throughout Cookeville County to support one another and to make sure that those in need are getting the support that they need. Indeed, there are those who will be given the blight or getting the nuisances and the fees, and when they pay those, that's great too. But I think holistically we need to look at how we visualize what our community can be and how we want to treat one another.
Well, blight has been our battle for as long as I've been on the commission. It's something that's related to health. It's something related to first impression. We want people to come to Ironwood, like Ironwood, and we need to do what we can to take care of some of these blight properties. In the past, we've had grants where we were able to take down multiple properties and then get them back on the tax roll. And in most cases, the neighbors end up purchasing that property and creating a better looking curbside appeal. That's one of the things right now. I don't believe there's any grants available to fight blight. But what we do twice a year is we do have city cleanups, and at those given points in time, citizens are allowed to bring pretty much everything and the kitchen sink to these cleanups, and we take them away and we help them in most cases unload and get their garbage, debris, whatever's cluttering their yard or basement or garage. We all have places where we collect stuff, and after a while it kind of adds up. So promote those twice a year and let people clean up their yards. The city over time, they work with citizens, and sometimes it's not fast enough for the neighbors, but you know, we go back numerous times and see how they're doing or what they're doing or what we can do to help. And worst case scenarios, the city has gone in and cleaned up some of the properties. I don't want us to become in the business of cleaning up properties, because we're never really gonna recoup the money that we put into it. But you know, work with our groups. Our area is great on volunteerism, so work with these groups and help the people who want to clean up and who need to clean up, who just may not be physically or financially able to do it. Thank you.
This is our last question, which actually leads directly, it could lead directly into your final summation. The future. What do you see as Ironwood's biggest challenge? And how would you make headway towards improvement of the city during your next 2-year term? What do you see as Ironwood's biggest challenge? And how would you make headway towards improvement in the next 2 years? I think it's Jim.
Is this our,
No, this is the last official question.
but not our summation?
No.
Thank you. So it's keep on keeping on. It's rolling up our sleeves and keeping the work going that we've been doing. It's hoping that next year, instead of having 300, 400, or 500 people in our downtown every day, we might have 700 or 800 or 900 people in our downtown. I can tell you, you know, so we had First Fridays now for 3 or 4 years, and all of us that loved the downtown kept going to those First Fridays. First we had 15 people, then we had 20, then sometimes we would get to 30 people. Then the whole concept of the downtown city square came up, and all of a sudden we're having 300 and 400 people coming to our city square. And all of those people are saying, oh my God, this is beautiful. I've never had so much fun in Ironwood. This is just like the old days if you're my age. Or if you're young, you say, oh, this is the greatest thing. The kids are playing in the splash park. There's music up on the stage. The people are walking to the downtown stores and buying things. So, you know, a lot of people have thoughts. But in these last 10 years, the citizens of Ironwood, the civic groups, the city commission, the city employees, we've all worked together and we've made things real. We've made things happen, and it's changed our whole community. So just keep on doing it, keep on rolling up our sleeves.
The biggest challenge facing Ironwood, that is an interesting thought. One of the big challenges is sustaining the progress that we've made and not losing our forward momentum. There's always that tendency to slide back into your old comfort zone and kind of just coast a little bit. And we cannot coast. We worked really, really hard. We've made a lot of improvements, but we can't coast. And the other challenge facing Ironwood is to be a more affordable community. And perhaps, my little Pollyannish look at the world, we should be getting a bigger tax base. Our home values are going up. This should make it, the city should be able to generate more revenue because we're going to have a higher tax base. So we need to find ways to ease the burden on our residents. The water bill, I would love our water bills to be lower. I just, with the current reality, don't see how we can do it. But it's still something that I think we ought to strive for, and keep on improving our infrastructure and just keep progressing.
We've talked, obviously we need more housing in our city, but some of our issues could be we need more jobs that will sustain people here and allow people to live here, and good paying jobs, decent jobs, because that builds the base of our community. It helps our schools. It also will help our infrastructure and so on. We've lost population. We're basically 5,000 people in the city of Ironwood, the lowest we've been in the history since it's begun, and it continues to go down. Because again, a lot of the houses that are being bought are not people moving in, they're just for people that are coming in with tourists. Again, tourism is a very important thing, but we can't base everything on tourism. We have to base it on also people living here, coming here. When our children leave high school or college, we want them to come back here early on, not when they retire, but to come back here. So we have to have a job base. We have to continue to seek out better employers, better wage jobs that actually will give people a job to stay here. We have Domino's that just opened, which I have friends in Iron Mountain, they were like, wow, people in Ironwood are excited about it. It's Domino's, what are they nuts? I said, no, it's a great delivery thing. But, an example, another thing we need to do is with our communication with the state of Michigan. It took months for the inspector to get here to open Domino's. It was ready to go, but there was no inspector. The inspector was hard to get here, and for some reason, we need to be able to, I don't know who did it, but apparently Lansing didn't answer the phone when we called and said, hey, we need an inspector in Ironwood. We can't be ignored by Lansing constantly. So if we're gonna have new businesses here, we also have to make sure that inspections are done. We can't have, I mean, when Quick Trip comes in, I hope that it doesn't take them months and months to open. So yes, there's a lot of issues, and it's not based on tourism. We have to look at it as a broad game. I heard that. So I don't know, see, now that was very silent, so if that was a trick, I'm glad. I lost my thought, folks, I'm sorry. But it was a very silent, yes. It made me nervous, like my wife used to do. Here you go, go ahead.
I think we touched on a lot of different challenges here tonight, housing and retention of people and how to get community members more involved, which I think in culmination is going to be our largest challenges. How to really make sure that we are continuing to build on the successes that we've had. I talked about how we lived in the Twin Cities. We were a half mile away from a walking trail, the Minnesota walking trail that could get me 26 miles into St. Paul, or I could get over to Stillwater at 18 miles, and it was fantastic. And I had no plans on moving back to Ironwood because they did not have a walking trail, and that was something that was just instilled in me. It was a part of our life. We met friends there, we could go to parks from there. It was fantastic. And then here we go, Ironwood coming together and building the Ironwood Trail, Iron Belt Trail, which is fantastic. Bridging our communities from Wisconsin all the way to Ramsey. I can't tell you, I've been to Ramsey more than I've ever been in the past summer, and it's just great. So these are the things that we need to continue to do: is building upon our successes, reaching out to new people, and reaching out to old people maybe who weren't ready to join in some volunteer work or didn't have the time, and just asking them, hey, how can we get involved today? It's a one day at a time, and I'm really excited for the future.
We have a master plan that's in place. It's kind of a highway and tells us what direction to go and how we're going to do it. But ultimately, it's a balancing act between creating a sense of place, our events, our curb appeal, our parks and things like that. But I think one of our biggest challenges is our infrastructure. It's old. It's 100 years old. And when you talk about like water and sewer and your roads, you don't really want to be reactive. You don't want to wait for things to implode. You want to be proactive. So I think that's one of our biggest challenges, to keep the water and sewer phases going. And one thing nice about when you do water and sewer, you get new roads on top of that. So that's kind of a plus. But to me, that's the biggest challenge, is making sure that we move forward with water and the sewer and try to be creative. Try to, encourage our city staff. They've already done a good job, looking for grants, looking for city funds, looking for a way to be creative and on finding the money and finding the sources on making these things happen. And again, like I think, just investing in our infrastructure is an investment in our future. So, thank you.
I think one of the largest challenges that we face has been since the mines closed, when we realized we were at one point safe on having any sort of industry in our community. And so I look at that as our largest challenge to date. We need to diversify. We need to go after the tourism, the agriculture, the infrastructure, all the things that we need to do that do create businesses, do create jobs. And once we address those in our master plan and we start going after them, we will have success in those, just as we've had success in the plan so far. When we see us make progress down a path, and we're going in the right direction, we're making our success real, then we can go after more of that because we have progressed. And that when you hear everybody say, continue as we've been doing, yes, continue as we've been doing.
Now, the moment that everybody's been waiting for. Thank you all so much for coming. It's really great. We do these every 2 years, and I really do think it's highly beneficial for not only all the candidates to talk about what they see as the future and their role in it, but also to have an audience of folks with being able to present their questions. So everybody has 2 minutes, and this is the usual summation of why should you vote for me, and that will give you an opportunity to maybe reinforce a little bit from your opening statement, which introduced you to our audience, and now you can tell them why you think you would be a good Ironwood City Commissioner. And so I don't goof up again, I am going to start with the letter A over here and work my way down. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. This went by fast. This was fun. Why I chose to run, I believe in Ironwood. In fact, I found that I actually love Ironwood. I'm really excited to raise my family here, enjoy the 4 seasons, the adventures, and the family community with my kids that Ironwood has to offer. I want to help build a community that my kids will boast of and be proud of. Ironwood has made great progress since I graduated in 2005. I will continue that progress by working with commissioners that have more than 10 years of experience. I'm proud to be sitting here with these men and women that have devoted years and time and effort to help make Ironwood what it is today. And also many of our people in the audience that are volunteers, and our mayor who is in the audience. Just the amount of time and effort that is put into these, it is no joke, and I'm really appreciative to all of them. I'm excited and I'm honored to be representing the young and future generations of Ironwood. I will be a sustaining force, bridging the gaps and cementing the forward progress that Ironwood continues to see. Times are changing, but one thing that remains constant about Ironwood and its citizens is SISU, and man, we've got it. I'm excited to harness our resilience and move forward as a community to make Ironwood a destination and a vibrant place to work and play. A place where our children can walk to school and make lifelong friends. A community where friends meet for a bite to eat or go out for a show. A family-oriented life that sustains quality jobs and allows friends to become family. I'm just super stoked. I can't wait for the Ironwood that my kids will boast of. And that's why I'm running.
Nicely said. I like that. Like, we all run for commission for different reasons, whether we're upset about something or we want to change something, or we just want to make a difference. And I've been on the commission now for 12 years, and I ran at one point because I wasn't happy about something. But once you get involved, it's a great learning experience, and it takes many years to learn the people who are involved. You learn how to deal with state government, local government, and you have dreams, and you have to find out what kind of steps you have to do to make these dreams. But I really love living in Ironwood. I love everything that we have. You take a look at our natural resources, and sometimes I go, I'm so lucky to live here. And I just want to be able to see it thrive. You know, I want to see the progress that we've already made, and I want to see it keep going, and I want to see Ironwood just be on the map, make it a destination where we need to go. I think all the things that we have going on with our master plan and the progress that we have, I just want to be able to have Ironwood be known to the world, to the community, that we're ready for progress, we're ready for people to invest in us. And I don't know, I just really enjoy Ironwood, and I look forward to hopefully working with the people here on the panel tonight. But thank you very much for everybody here, and Michael on the panel. So, thank you.
I have to agree also with Kim. I really love the opportunity to make a difference. And I had the opportunity to travel all over the entire world. And I really love living here. This is where I grew up and I got to come back. I love that I can, in fact, lend my strengths, whatever those may be, to enable Ironwood to grow and prosper, and the people and the environment is just beautiful. So let's make more of that happen. Thank you.
So I've always had two priorities. Well, one really, I guess, to start with, and that's helping children. And that's especially helping children whose families are suffering economically. And so 52 weeks a year, Ironwood Kiwanis serves the children, and we raise money for children. And I've been a huge part of that for 25 years. I started Santa's headquarters because I wanted children to have Christmas. I wanted them to enjoy all of the things that people get to enjoy, like good food and toys. And then I wanted low-cost recreation for children. And so we all worked together on the Iron Belt Trail, and I not only started the GUR bike rides and took all of the proceeds of 12 years of those rides and gave them for infrastructure and for monies that repair or that can enhance the Iron Belt Trail. And then myself and my fellow commissioners, but I am a board member on the Civic Center, the Pat O'Donnell. And that building is so beautiful right now, and it's the work of the past 3 years to get it done. And if you go there on a Friday or Saturday night, you'll see children skating, you'll see children having fun. You'll see so many children down there that some of them have to come off the ice for others to get on the ice. And I couldn't be prouder of that. I couldn't be prouder of our downtown city square, and there's music playing, and there's 3- and 5-year-olds dancing in the grass, and there's children dancing in the splash park. And all of those things, they need us to work on them, and then they need the state government, and they need our legislators to help us with those things, which they have. And that's the other thing that I know, is I know government. 38 years I worked with the Michigan Department of Transportation. So Big Superior Bread called me, and they said, Jim, we aren't getting our licenses over here. So I called my congressman, I called my state congressman, and I said to him, I said, we need that red place open because these people invested their whole life savings in there. He says, Jim, I'll see what we can do, and in 5 days it was open. I used some of my political capital. I have never rested. Every conference that I went to, every time that I've been in Lower Michigan, and I've been with my representatives, if I've been at the Michigan Department of Transportation, Michigan Works, I've networked, and I'm one of the few people in this whole community, and this is the whole county, I'm one of the few people in the whole county that can call the governor's office and give reports on what's going on in the city of Ironwood. I've been doing it for 20 years, and I continue to do it. And the governors, the last 3 governors have said, that's unbelievable, Jim. They've told me when they were coming here, and they've helped us to do the things that we were doing. So I'm really proud of the fact that I network, I know government, and I love helping children. Those are the 2 things that I can do better than I think, or as good as, but I do them. I roll up my sleeves and I do them. Thank you.
Well, I could give you a big, long laundry list of all of the many accomplishments of the city in the last 12 years. Don't need to do that. We've mentioned a bunch of them already, but we're far from there. We have a ways to go. Well, the battle will never end. It's always ongoing, but we've made a lot of progress. We're about halfway through our sewer and water renovation for our entire city, and there's just so much work to do. And I want us to just be part of it. And that's why I'm running. And I hope you guys will vote for me. And thank you for putting this on, Michael. Short and sweet.
Yes, again, thank you to the chamber for putting this on. And we hope 2 years from now more folks will partake. Because that's one of the things I want. I want people to participate in our government, our local government, and be involved. And that's one of the things why I'm here. I want to contribute back, in a sense, and be a diverse voice on the commission. More of an independent, because I'm not going to be swayed either way. I'm able to be open-minded, but I want to listen to the people. That's my main thing. I'm a people person, so I'm going to be down. I'm not going to focus totally on tourism, I'm not gonna focus totally on skiing or trails, even though somebody may say I should walk a few trails, but anyhow. I'm gonna focus more on our infrastructure and our people and our needs in our community. More jobs, more housing, helping our seniors, something for our youth to do, perhaps during the winter youth center. There's so many different things that I can't allow my focus to be totally on tourism. And I've been involved with the community. I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus. I'm active in our church. I do our church Facebook page. And when I give back to the community, a lot of things I do, I'm more of one of those silent people. I don't broadcast everything I do, and I do want to help and be another voice at this table. And if you vote for me, I promise you I'll do the best I can, and I will listen to the people. And sometimes I may not agree with what you say, but if the majority tells me to vote this way or look at something this way, I'm going to do it because you're the ones that put me in the position of a commission seat. And in 2 years, if you don't think I did a good job, you can vote me out and vote somebody else in. But I want to see our youth involved in our community. I want to see more people. I want to see more interest in our local elections. I want to see more people involved. And I understand not everybody's a politician, especially in a small town. But we need to be involved. If we could get so excited about the president, either way, whatever way you vote, and it's not arguing Trump or Biden, but the point is, we should be just as excited about the ladies and gentlemen sitting here at this table that want to serve the community and what they bring to the table. And that's what I want to do. I want to get people more involved on a local level. Not everybody wants to join a board. Not everybody wants to join because they don't understand it. Bureaucracy, it sounds just like another meeting to go to, another place to have coffee. I want to have our hands on as we do this, and I want to be that diverse voice in the community. Thank you. I hope you vote for me on Tuesday.
Thank you everyone for coming tonight, all the candidates and our audience. And have a good evening, and most importantly, don't forget to show up and vote.